we were only able to register growth of 0.3%. But by the grace of God and through the hard work of all of you Kenyans, our economy grew again and bounced back to a growth of 7.5% in 2021. My colleagues at the National Treasury tell me that we are projecting a growth of about 6% this year. But that notwithstanding, we are still faced with a number of challenges. And that is why it is important to talk about the role of professionals in the coordination of government services. For about nearly 10 years now that I have served in cabinet, it is abundantly clear to me that for a country of our size, we don't have the luxury of working in silos and always trying to sustain the fault line of them versus us. Those of you who are in private sector or those of you who may not be in mainstream government are not relevant or important to the workings and development of government. In fact, the philosophy of government has been, and President Kenyatta has espoused this in his famous all-of-government approach, that we must build an inclusive, integrated framework of providing services to our people. So we benefit a lot from professional advisory services from organizations such as ICPAK. Mr. Chairman, you told me this morning that of the 25,000 members of this organization, a good number of them are public servants. And therefore today, allow me to speak to you very candidly about what I think we need to do, all of us, to strengthen the provision of services and to effectively deliver for the people of Kenya. And I will begin by recommending this. For you and all of us, especially for you accountants, to really walk the path of recovery and to ensure resilience, we must espouse a 3P approach. That is preservation, protection, and prudent management of public resources. The challenge of our country begins with the way we use public resources. That's why I'm recommending that 3P approach: preservation, protection, and prudent deployment of our public resources. My two sisters who are here with me, our Auditor General and our Controller of Budget, can relate to some of the things I am going to tell you. For the last 4.5 years, when I've been the chairperson of the NDICC, as a result of Executive Order number 1 of 2019, the President asked me to chair the implementation of government projects. I have to sincerely tell you that I have come face to face with the horrors of our unprofessionalism and the way in which we misuse public resources. When I look at the A3 sheets that I'm prepared and presented with on government projects, all the challenges we deal with have got to do with an accountant or the other. And let me be frank with you, good people. The pending bills that we have been having in government, when I came in, I started with 6 billion shillings in the prison service. Half of them are unpayable because procedures were not followed. Some of them are cooked. And by the way, the people who cook them are not Mama Mboga we collect from Korogosho or anywhere. It is members of ICPAK who are accountants and who are your members. They are the ones who cook them. Now, the EACC has discovered some of my staff, some who may be your members, who have 260-something million in their bank accounts they cannot account for, who have 272 million shillings in their bank accounts they cannot account for. I came here specifically to ask you, Mr. Chairman, when is ICPAK going to join the war against corruption? When is ICPAK going to join the rest of us in fighting corruption in the public sector in our country? Because you asked me to talk about the role of professionals in effective delivery in the coordination of services. One role is that we must all join government and help my sister here, the Auditor General, and help my sister, the Controller of Budget, in fighting corruption. We will not preserve, we will not protect, and we will not prudently use public resources if we do not stand up and fight corruption in public service. The challenge of this country, let me be frank with you, my brothers and sisters, our problems, if you are to list them, number 1, 2, and 3. Number 1 is corruption, number 2 is corruption, and number 3 is corruption. They have nothing to do with all this. Yes, we want to fight poverty. How are you going to fight poverty if we are not fighting corruption? If we are losing public resources every day, if government is leaking like a sieve. So when will ICPAK join the war against corruption? This morning, I had this very poetic feeling, and I was telling your chairman in the holding room that we all look forward to a day when ICPAK will buy space in the papers and publish the names of the accountants they are removing from their roles and membership on account of cooking books. Because the problem that Dr. Margaret Nyakango deals with in county governments is not caused by ordinary people who sell sugarcane and sweet bananas in Suneka. It is caused by accountants. The people who cook books are your members, are the ones who got us all these problems. The challenges that, Mr. Chairman, you pointed out about bending bills in government, the reason why we have a problem with bending bills is because of resources being deployed in an allowable manner, and the people who are doing that are professionals. So the first role that you can play in the effective delivery of government service is by ensuring that the law is followed and ensuring prudent management of the resources that have been entrusted with us. Let me be even more sincere and tell you, frankly, I don't think as a public servant we can do without you. So the profession of accounting and auditing and all of you financial experts are people we need. We need you as much as we need doctors. We need you as much as we need lawyers. We need you as much as we need everyone. But I think if you resolved as members of this profession that you are going to stand up for your country, for the protection of the resources of your country, we will do a lot better than we have done in the past. Number 2, if you look at the implementation of government projects across the board, I've never had this opportunity, now I will talk about it today. The implementation of national government projects in the country goes well, but a lot of it is hampered by poor contracting, poor advisory services. The contracting is done by professionals. It's in most cases lawyers, in most cases financial experts like yourselves. And I was asking the Auditor General this morning in the holding room, there are contracts I'm sure she has seen, that I have seen, where you ask yourself the question, who on earth would enter into a contract of this kind? If this was your personal business, would you spend resources in this manner? Where we pay a contractor 40% of the total contract sum for doing nothing, because we've written contracts that allow contractors to get away with murder. Or alternatively, where there's connivance between professionals in government and in the public sector and those that are intent on looting public resources, to do so willingly, and while they are protected by clauses that write into those contracts. My brothers and sisters, we have a duty, and that duty is to preserve, to protect, and to prudently use our public resources. What I said is a 3P approach for all of us. Resilience will come if we preserve the meager resources that we have and use them effectively as we go forward. Secondly, building capacity is very good, and I like what you have outlined in your vision, in your books, and what ICPAK would like to do. As we work very hard to grow the economy, I would like us to build institutional partnerships between ICPAK and government so that we can enhance the capacity of those who provide services in the public sector. Recently, Mr. Chairman, the government has finally established or transformed the National Defense College to the National Defense University. The intention of the National Defense University is to integrate the military experience and the service that has been given at the National Defense College into the professional cadres of public service. I would like to ask you, Mr. Chairman, that one of these fine days we begin discussions with you to see how we can build partnerships between ICPAK and the National Defense University, so that the ethos of discipline and integrating a focused and strategic management of resources is also spread to the profession of accounting, so that when your members find opportunities in the public service, they understand that every resource we have is a strategic opportunity that must be managed in a strategic manner for us to move forward. We long lost the days when we used to look at security of our country as something isolated from the rest of what happens in society. How we use the resources we have and how we deploy them is a security issue. Because if we don't use the resources we have effectively, we are making ourselves vulnerable, as it were, and we are weakening ourselves as a society, and thereby increasing chances of vulnerability and failure as a society. And therefore, I plead for institutional partnerships between yourselves and agencies of government, so that as we move forward, we understand that every decision we make and every deployment of resources we make must be done in a strategic manner. But thirdly, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, is the challenge I want to give you as professionals. Let's not delude ourselves. We don't believe as the executive branch of government that in and on our own we can successfully fight corruption. The war against corruption must involve all of us. It takes all of us to build a society of integrity. It takes all of us to preserve and protect and prudently use our resources.